After watching House of Dragons episode 2, man, I think it's time that us MCU fans take a look in the mirror and have a moment of truth and ask this question. Will our MCU shows ever reach that top tier level? I mean, after having a summer of watching shows like The Boys, Stranger Things, Sandman, and now House of freaking Dragons, I can't help but wonder, will there ever be an MCU show that peels my muffin cap back blue like the House of Dragons? I definitely think that there can be shows that reach that level. I mean, in fact, we have a couple of shows that have already been close to doing that. Like when you think about shows like WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even parts of Moon Knight. But there are a few consistent reasons as why they just don't have that to get them there to that next level. What's up? I'm Kendall with Normies and Nerds. Thanks for stopping by, and please help me out by subscribing to the channel and becoming one of our first 1,000 subscribers because we are grinding to that goal. Let's get it. Because one thing that have been holding these shows back is that they're not built like other shows, man. I mean, if you think about it, the shows that I mentioned earlier, each one of those builds a universe and story for itself. I think that helps those shows because they're really not held down to a canon or have to worry about connecting to something else. They can be free in their own world, and over seasons, they can build a universe that we want to know more about them. I really think that helps the writers as well be able to delve into their creative vision and allow fans to feel more connected to that series as time goes on. But when it comes to these MCU shows, they're obviously set in a pre-established universe. And at one point, we thought that fact would be lit. I mean, think about it. When the shows were announced and the way it was presented, it was like they would connect heavily to the films that we see on the big screen. And a lot of us came to think that these shows would be somewhat of a continuation of what we see in movies. While shows like WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Falcon and the Winter Soldier picked up on stories after the character's last appearance in the movies, other than Loki, all of these other stories feel confined to that one show. And look, I'm gonna be real, as a Marvel fan, I feel like I'm being a little bit harsh on these shows, but it's just not hitting that top tier level, and you just gotta go with your gut and figure out why it's not happening. I mean, every Marvel show has been missing something, yo, and here's what I mean by that. WandaVision was great to kick off the MCU shows on Disney+. I mean, it's still even a lot of people's favorite show. The mystery and speculation behind what was happening was driving everyone crazy and looking for clues, and it really became a cultural hit on social media, YouTube, and all of that, right? Until the finale. For a lot of people, the finale didn't live up to the expectations that had been built up through the series. Because if you really think about it, everybody was waiting for that finale to show larger implications on the broader MCU. That never even happened. Compare that to my favorite Disney Plus show, Loki. It had a stellar finale, a finale that was really like a prologue to the multiversal saga and an intro to Kang and what we can expect throughout this whole thing, right? However, it's hard to elevate that show to the higher levels, to be quite frank with you, because of the boring episodes that were really stuck in the middle of that series. And on top of that, along with other shows like Moon Knight, where you have the blacking out of Jake Lockley fight scenes, which would have likely been some of the best scenes in that show, and also as well the weird scenarios that went down with Falcon and the Winter Soldier in that series as well. Not one show on Disney Plus has yet to fire on all cylinders, man. And then you add that on top of the fact that these shows come out at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruh, that's got to go. Think about it. There's nothing like having that feeling on Sunday at 9 p.m. that you need to watch the House of Dragons. Even though I didn't even watch it on Sunday night, it created that anticipation, and I was so excited to watch it on Monday morning. But nothing about a show coming out at 3 a.m. in the morning is enticing. I mean, to me, the huge part of what could help is community building around the show. The show doesn't even have to release on Thursday night at 9 p.m. A simple midnight release is early enough. Think about it. One of the best things about being a Marvel fan is opening weekend of a new movie. That entire weekend, you can expect to have an experience along with other fans inside the movie theater. And a similar feeling could be captured in watch parties and in social media, even with a midnight release. Just think about that. Instead of a 3 a.m. release, which feels more like them telling us, yeah, just catch it whenever, anytime you want. But look, I do sense better days for MCU shows. I'll tell you why, but first, hit that subscribe button and let's get back into it. Things first, Marvel and more importantly Kevin Feige seems to always learn from mistakes. I have no doubt that they've been seeing the criticism with each one of these shows and trying to find different ways to fix those in upcoming projects. For example, most of the upcoming shows center around characters that we have already seen on screen and want to know more about. Think about Secret Invasion. I think that show has potential to be one of those top tier shows because of the knowledge that we think we have about Skrulls and the surprises and intelligent twists that they are going to be playing out in the story. I mean, to me, it's kind of shaping up to have that espionage theme like what we saw in Captain America Winter Soldier. Also think about a show like Ironheart too as well, which will have an advantage over a show like Ms. Marvel, because Ironheart will have already had exposure from Wakanda Forever that will hopefully make people want to see more of her, right? And that is something that I think shows like Moon Knight, like say he showed up in Blade first, or Ms. Marvel if she showed up in the Marvels first, creating that intrigue and wanting to see more around the characters is something that would at least help the popularity of these shows. And all in all, I honestly think it's just taking a little bit of time for us to get used to it as well, because they're building their own identity with these shows. I mean, when you think about studios like HBO and Netflix, they have been building their identity of their shows for years. And to be honest, even new studios like Amazon and Apple TV Originals, they haven't even really been doing that, like building their own identity. If anything, they've been copying the identities of Netflix shows. I mean, when you really think about it, those shows could easily be on Netflix and fit right in. But Marvel has its own identity that it is building, and it is still adjusting to the show business and figuring out how to make that MCU formula mesh with the streaming format. And hearing news like World War Hulk being a 4 or 6 part series is really a sign in the right direction. So back to my question, like, will these shows ever reach the top tier level of shows to hang out with shows like House of Dragons or Stranger Things? The true answer is, like, only time will really tell. I am optimistic that there are like a couple of shows that I feel like could at least have the potential to reach that level. But really, at this point, I have to see Marvel prove it. Like, if we were talking about movies, I would be all in to say that we could definitely get back to that top tier level, say like what we got from Endgame and Infinity War. But when it comes to these shows, like, they really at this point are going to have to prove it to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they can really pull that off. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think we'll ever reach that top tier of shows? Or are you one of those who thinks we've already gotten that top tier and think I'm just a crazy dude? Anyway, look, thanks for stopping by. Drop a sub to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.